mapping request parameters. This one you can see, finally, we get to the data part. The previous two videos, we work on the URL part, right? URL part. Now, this one, we work on the data part. Here, I want to say this part C of Module 2, this is probably the most important part of our whole semester because we learn the most basic mapping rules. I hope you spend a lot of time to understand this part, the most important one in this semester. All right, so let's start. First, request parameter restrictions. There are some restrictions. When I use examples, I explain those restrictions. First, specify restrictions on parameter using params attribute, this attribute. Here, we still use at request mapping annotation. We still use the same annotation. You can see this annotation is so powerful. It can do so many things. But later, we will learn another annotation related to this parameter thing. All right, look at example. Look at this example. All right, so value can, so we know that. URL pattern part, that piece, value can, all right, But here we also need to specify restrictions on parameters. The parameters should satisfy some conditions, then this method is called. Otherwise, this method won't be called. That's the meaning. So what's that? There are two parameters restrictions here. Okay, First, employee parameter must be present with any value. So we put it here, that means this parameter must be present in the request. If this parameter is missed, then the method won't be called. The scan method won't be called. It must present. When it is present, any value is okay. Employee equals A, equals B, or equals empty string, also okay. Empty string. When it is present, it can take empty string, also okay. All right. Then, confirm parameter should be true. Another restriction. Confirm parameter equals true. Equal false, then that parameter restriction is not satisfied. All right, so things like that. Another one, the restrictions can be set at the controller level. Controller level. When the request passes the controller level, then check the method level restrictions. Yes. So that's the natural logic. We can also set it at a controller level, right? In order to call this controller, certain parameter restrictions must be satisfied. All right? All right. After that method level. All right. Here, let's look at another method level. Another method level, but this time, look at this exclamation sign. It has the meaning. You can guess the meaning. Okay, must not be present. Just the opposite of the non-exclamation version. Employee must be present. Exclamation must not be present. So that's simple, straightforward. All right. Then some more discussion about annotated method parameters. Here we talk about the general rules, but to understand these rules, we need concrete examples. How to pass request parameter values to methods. All right, so here there is another way. There is another way. Here, pass, or not another way, another annotation. Request param annotation. Pass request parameter to methods. Here we need to make a data copy. We need to make data copy. In the previous, we put the parameter restrictions. That's different. We do not do data copy, right? In that one, we specify when the restrictions are satisfied, then the method is called. That's it. But we do not do data copy. And here we use this annotation to do data copy. Copy parameter values to certain variables. Yeah. All right. You specify request parameter name using the value attribute implicitly or explicitly. Yeah. Implicitly, we know single value annotation we can omit value attribute. That's implicitly. If not single, more than one, multiple attributes, we need to specify value explicitly. Yeah, that's the meaning. Yeah. By default, this annotation indicates that the request parameter is required and request will not map without it by default. If you like to change it, you can make the change. Yeah. All right. You can set the required attribute to false to disable this behavior. Yeah. Making the request parameter optional. Yes. Yeah. So here it just tells you have some ways to control how to access those parameters. Yeah. To understand this kind of details, we need concrete examples. Yeah. From concrete examples, then we can understand the rules better. Yeah. All right, so next, mapping multiple values for a request parameter. We can map multiple values. So here you can see we put all the rules here, but to understand these rules better, so later when we have many examples, then we have a chance to apply these rules to understand them better. Yeah. Sometimes a request parameter can have multiple values. Yeah, that's true. Think about checkbox, right? When you use check boxes to send parameters, multiple values, under the same parameter name, you have multiple values. How do you make data copy in that case? Pretty simple. Yeah. Make the corresponding method parameter an array, using array to make copy. Another option, collection, Java collection, classes, list and map, list away and map away. Yeah. So we know we can do that, but we need to look at the examples before we can use those ways. Okay. All right. Use a map object. Here, the Spring provides its own special map class to allow you to do the copy into this map object. Yeah. Obtain all, here, when we use this object, we do one thing. We obtain all request parameter values in one map object. All, you do not need to explicitly specify those parameters. We just use one object, we dump. So something like you dump all the parameter values into this one object. So that's different from the discussion here. So this gives you another way to retrieve parameter data. Yeah. All right. So, all right, the type is this, but the special spring class is this one. Multi-value map. That's the special spring class. You need to use that. Okay? Yeah. With this annotation. Yeah. We see that in the example. So next slide, we will see examples. Yeah. Example using @request_param annotation. Yeah. Let's look at two examples. The first one. Yeah. All right. Here, you see, @request_param, value is ID. Value means the parameter name is ID. Then you do copy. You copy data to long integer user ID. An automatic data conversion is there, occurs. Automatic data conversion. You do not need to do that. Automatic data conversion occurs automatically. Yeah. The second one, name equals name. Required equals false. Required equals false. That means optional, right? Required equals true. Not optional. You must have this parameter. Required equals false. If this parameter is not present, still it's okay. You can call this method. Yeah. If it is present, then its value is copied into that name string variable. Yeah. Then the third one, value parameter name is the key. If it is not provided default value, empty string, then you make that copy. Also pretty natural, right? The last example, yeah. Var request_param. This time we use multi-value map spring class, this reference of that object, right? Yeah. And all the parameters dump into this object. Then inside this method, you can use the appropriate methods inside this class to retrieve parameters piece by piece. Now, if you need that way, you can use that way. Yeah. All right, so we finish this video C.4 and this whole class, part C.